What if I told you that the small device in your hand is stealing something precious from you? Not your money, not your privacy, but something far more valuable, your actual life. I'm Cindy, and welcome back to English TalkNest, where we explore life's most fascinating experiments through the English language. Today, I did something that terrified me more than public speaking, more than heights, more than spiders. I spent an entire day, 24 full hours, without my phone. And what I discovered changed everything I thought I knew about living. Let me set the scene. It's 6:30 a.m. and my alarm goes off. Except, wait, my alarm is on my phone. Plot twist number one, I had to buy an actual alarm clock the night before. Do you know how weird it feels to purchase a device that does only one thing in 2025? It felt like buying a typewriter or a rotary phone. But here's the first revelation of the day. When that old-fashioned alarm clock rang, this obnoxious beeping sound with no snooze button, I had to physically get out of bed to turn it off. No reaching over, blindly tapping the screen 5 times for just 5 more minutes. I was up, fully conscious, and you know what? The morning suddenly felt longer, but in a good way. Time seemed to expand. Here's the vocabulary moment. We often say we doom scroll in the morning. That's when you mindlessly scroll through social media, seeing news and content that makes you feel anxious or depressed before you've even brushed your teeth. Without my phone, there was no doom scrolling, just silence, just me and my thoughts. And honestly, it was uncomfortable at first, almost awkward, like being alone with a stranger. Except the stranger was myself. So I stumbled into the kitchen to make coffee. Normally, this is when I'd check my notifications, messages, emails, social media updates. My brain had been conditioned to expect that dopamine hit, that little rush of what did I miss? But instead, I just made coffee. I listened to the water boil. I heard the coffee beans grinding. I noticed the steam rising from the cup. These sound like such mundane details, right? But here's the thing. I'd made coffee thousands of times, but I'd never actually experienced it before. I'd always been somewhere else, mentally scrolling through Instagram or reading work emails. This brings me to an important concept, being present. We use this phrase a lot in English, be present, live in the moment. But do we actually understand what it means? It means your body and mind are in the same place at the same time. Sounds simple, but it's incredibly rare in our hyper-connected world. Breakfast was next. I sat at my table, no phone propped up against the sugar bowl, no YouTube video playing. Just me, my scrambled eggs, and a strange realization. I didn't know what to do with my hands. Isn't that wild? We've become so dependent on having something to hold, to swipe, to tap, that sitting with empty hands feels unnatural. So I picked up an actual newspaper. Yes, they still exist. The experience was completely different from reading news on a screen. The pages had weight. The ink smelled distinct. And here's the interesting part. I read more deeply. Online, we tend to skim headlines, jumping from article to article. But with print, I found myself reading entire pieces, understanding context, remembering details. Let me teach you a useful expression. To skim means to read quickly, just getting the main points. To read thoroughly or to delve into means to read deeply and carefully. Without my phone, I was actually delving into content instead of skimming it.
By 9 a.m., I needed to head out for some errands, and this is where things got interesting. And by interesting, I mean mildly terrifying. No GPS, no maps, no, hey Siri, how do I get to the post office? I had to actually remember routes, use landmarks, think about directions, turn left at the red building, then go straight until you see the pharmacy, then right. It sounds ancient, doesn't it? Like something from the 1990s. But here's what happened. I noticed my neighborhood. Really noticed it. There was a small bookshop I'd walked past 100 times but never seen, a community garden tucked between two buildings, a coffee shop with the most charming outdoor seating. How had I missed all of this? Because I'd been walking with my head down, staring at a screen, following a blue dot on a map, instead of looking at the actual world around me. I learned a beautiful word once, sonder. It's the realization that every person you pass has a life as complex and vivid as your own. Without my phone, I experienced sonder everywhere. I saw people, really saw them. The elderly man feeding pigeons in the park, the young mother juggling grocery bags and a toddler, the teenager reading poetry on a bench. They weren't just background characters in my phone-focused life anymore. They were real, entire human beings. At the post office, I had to wait in line. No phone to distract me. Do you know what I did? I people watched. I eavesdropped a little. Okay, maybe more than a little. And I overheard the most touching conversation between two strangers about their shared love of gardening. They exchanged tips, laughed about failed tomato plants, and by the end, they had exchanged addresses, real, physical addresses to swap seeds next spring. Would they have talked if they'd both been on their phones? Probably not. Our devices create these invisible walls around us signaling, "Don't disturb, I'm busy," even when we're just scrolling through memes.
Lunchtime arrived, and I met a friend at a cafe. Before I continue, let me introduce you to a term: phubbing. It's a combination of phone and snubbing, when you ignore someone you're with by looking at your phone instead. We've all done it. We've all been victims of it. But today, without my phone, phubbing was impossible. My friend Sarah and I talked, actually talked, for 2 hours straight. The conversation flowed naturally, without those awkward pauses where someone checks their phone and derails the discussion. We laughed until our stomachs hurt. We debated philosophy, shared embarrassing stories, discussed dreams and fears. And here's the magical part. I remembered everything. Usually, conversations wash over me because I'm partially distracted, thinking about the notification I just felt buzz in my pocket. But this conversation, it embedded itself in my memory like a photograph. Sarah even noticed. "You seem different today," she said. "More here." I was here, fully, completely, undeniably present. After lunch, I walked home the long way, through the park. Without podcasts in my ears or calls to make, I just walked. And I thought. Deep thoughts, creative thoughts, random thoughts. My mind wandered freely, making connections I never would have made otherwise. There's a concept in neuroscience called default mode network. It's the state your brain enters when you're not focused on external tasks. It's when you daydream, imagine, process emotions, and solve problems creatively. But we rarely access this state anymore because we fill every empty moment with digital stimulation. Walking through that park, my default mode network was firing like crazy. I had ideas for projects I'd been stuck on. I solved a personal problem I'd been avoiding. I even composed a poem in my head, and I'm not a poet. Our brains need boredom. They need silence. They need space to just be. Around 3 p.m., the withdrawal symptoms kicked in. And yes, I'm using that term intentionally. Withdrawal, like from an addiction. My hand kept reaching for my pocket out of pure habit. Phantom vibrations made me think my phone was ringing, even though it was locked in a drawer at home. I felt this strange anxiety, this nagging voice asking, "What if someone needs you? What if there's an emergency? What if you're missing something important?" This anxiety has a name: FOMO, fear of missing out. It's that terrible feeling that everyone else is having fun, making connections, experiencing life, and you're not part of it. But here's the paradox I discovered.
By trying not to miss out on everything online, I was actually missing out on everything around me. Real life, physical presence, genuine connection. I decided to tackle a project I'd been postponing forever, organizing my bookshelf. Without my phone to just quickly check one thing every 5 minutes, I finished in an hour. Tasks that usually took all day suddenly became manageable. Let me introduce you to a phrase, time dilation. It's usually a physics concept, but it applies here too. Time felt slower, richer, more substantial. A single hour without phone distractions contained more actual living than entire days spent half present, half scrolling. I also rediscovered an old hobby, drawing. I found my dusty sketchbook and colored pencils and just created. No taking photos for Instagram, no checking how many likes I'd get, just the pure joy of making something with my hands. The experience felt almost revolutionary, doing something solely for the pleasure of doing it, not for external validation.
As evening approached, I cooked dinner from scratch, not heating up leftovers or ordering delivery through an app, actually cooking, chopping vegetables, following a recipe from a physical cookbook, adjusting flavors by taste. Cooking became meditation. Every chop of the knife, every sizzle in the pan, every aroma filling the kitchen, I experienced it all. Food tasted different too. Better, more vibrant. Because I wasn't mindlessly eating while watching videos, I was actually tasting each bite. Here's a beautiful word, savoring. It means to enjoy something completely, giving it your full attention. We can savor food, moments, conversations, experiences, but savoring requires presence, and presence is impossible when you're digitally elsewhere. Then came the most transformative part of my day, family dinner. My parents, my younger brother, and I sat around the table together. And here's what was different. No phones, not a single device at the table. At first, it felt almost awkward. We're so used to having our phones nearby, like security blankets. But then something magical happened. We talked. We laughed. My dad told stories about his childhood that I'd never heard before. My brother shared something that was bothering him at school, something he probably wouldn't have mentioned if we'd all been half distracted by our screens. My mom noticed it too. "This feels like the old days," she said, smiling. And she was right. This felt like family dinners from my childhood, before smartphones existed, when the dinner table was a sacred space for connection. We have a phrase in English, quality time. It means time spent giving someone your full attention, not just being physically present while mentally absent. Tonight was quality time in its purest form. After dinner, we did something we hadn't done in years. We watched a movie together. Not everyone on their own devices watching different things, but actually gathered in the living room sharing one experience. We made popcorn the old-fashioned way on the stove. We debated which movie to watch. A real debate with discussion and compromise, not everyone disappearing into their own content bubbles. During the movie, something beautiful happened. We reacted together. We laughed at the same jokes, gasped at the same plot twists, and discussed confusing parts without pausing to Google explanations. The shared experience created connection in a way that parallel individual viewing never could. After the movie ended, we didn't immediately scatter to our separate rooms and devices. We stayed. We talked about the movie, sharing opinions and favorite scenes. My brother made tea. My dad brought out old photo albums. Actual physical albums with printed photographs. Looking through those albums was like time travel. We reminisced, using a wonderful word that means to remember and talk about past experiences with pleasure and affection. Remember when we went to the beach and you were afraid of the waves? Remember that terrible haircut you had in middle school? These weren't perfectly curated Instagram moments.
These were real, messy, imperfect memories, and they were precious precisely because they were authentic. There's something about holding a physical photograph that makes memories feel more real than scrolling through thousands of digital images ever could. The evening taught me something profound. Family isn't just people who live in the same house. Family is created through attention, through presence, through the deliberate choice to be together, not just physically, but mentally and emotionally. As darkness fell, I faced a new challenge: evening entertainment, without Netflix, social media, or endless YouTube videos. So I read a book, an actual physical book, not an e-book, a paper book with pages that turned and a spine that cracked. I curled up on my couch with tea and just read for 3 hours straight. When was the last time you did that? The experience was immersive in a way that digital reading never is. No notifications popping up, no hyperlinks tempting me elsewhere, just me and the story, diving deep into another world. There's a concept called deep work. It's the ability to focus intensely on a cognitively demanding task without distraction. Our phones are basically designed to make deep work impossible. Every ping, buzz, and notification fragments our attention. But tonight, I experienced flow state, that magical condition where you're so absorbed in an activity that time disappears. Around 10 p.m., I did something radical. I got ready for bed without scrolling through my phone. Do you know what doctors call using phones before sleep? Sleep hygiene violation. The blue light from screens suppresses melatonin, the hormone that makes you sleepy. It tells your brain it's daytime, stay alert. But tonight, I dimmed the lights, brushed my teeth in peaceful quiet, and got into bed with just my thoughts. No last-minute email checking, no just one more video, just rest. Lying in bed in complete darkness and silence, I reflected on my day, and here's what stunned me. This was the longest day of my life. Not longest as in boring, longest as in full, complete, rich with actual experiences. I'd lived more in this one phone-free day than in the previous phone-filled week. I'd had deeper conversations, created something with my hands, noticed beauty I'd been blind to, felt my feelings instead of distracting from them, and connected with the present moment hundreds of times. Let me share some powerful English vocabulary about time. To kill time means to do something unimportant while waiting. To pass time means to let time go by. To spend time suggests time is currency you invest. To live time means to fully inhabit each moment. With my phone, I killed and passed time. Without it, I spent and lived time. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Our phones aren't evil, they're incredible tools. But we've let the tool use us instead of using the tool. We've become the product, our attention the commodity, our focus the thing being harvested and sold. This day taught me that life happens in the gaps, the boring moments we rush to fill with digital noise, waiting in line, walking to your car, sitting with your coffee. These aren't moments to escape, they're moments to experience. There's a philosophical concept called memento mori. Remember that you will die. It sounds dark, but it's actually liberating. We have limited time. Each day is precious and irretrievable. Do we really want to spend it scrolling through strangers' curated lives instead of living our own authentic one? Now, I know what you're thinking. Cindy, that's great for one day, but I can't live without my phone permanently. I need it for work, for emergencies, for staying connected. You're absolutely right. I'm not suggesting we all become hermits and reject technology. Instead, I want to share some practical strategies for achieving balance, for using our phones intentionally rather than compulsively. First, let's talk about setting boundaries. Boundaries are limits we create to protect our well-being. Here are some that work. The 1 hour rule. For the first hour after waking up and the last hour before bed, keep your phone away. This protects your morning clarity and your sleep quality. Start and end your day as a human being, not as a notification receiver. Designated phone-free zones. Create physical spaces where phones are not allowed. Make your bedroom a sanctuary. Make the dining table sacred. When you're in these zones, you're fully present. This concept is called geofencing your attention, using physical locations to determine your mental state. The notification detox. Turn off all non-essential notifications. Ask yourself, does this app need permission to interrupt my life? Social media apps, news apps, shopping apps, they can wait. Keep notifications only for actual humans trying to reach you. This single change can reclaim hours of focused time. Screen time awareness. Use your phone's built-in screen time tracker, but don't just glance at it, actually look at where your time goes. You might be shocked. 5 hours on social media per day? That's 1,825 hours per year. That's 76 full days, more than 2 months of your life scrolling. The grayscale trick. Change your phone display to black and white. Colors are designed to be addictive. All those reds and oranges trigger dopamine responses. Grayscale makes your phone boring, which is exactly what it should be. It's a tool, not entertainment. Scheduled check-ins. Instead of constantly reacting to your phone, schedule specific times to check messages and social media. Maybe 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 6 p.m. Outside these times, your phone stays put. This is called batching, grouping similar tasks together for efficiency. Now let's talk about aiming for a balanced life. Balance doesn't mean equal time online and offline. It means using technology to enhance life, not replace it. Use your phone to capture meaningful moments, then put it away and live them. Stay connected with distant loved ones with real conversations, not just likes. Learn new skills, then practice them in the real world. Access important information, then apply it to your life. But don't use your phone to avoid uncomfortable feelings. Fill every moment of potential boredom. Compare your real life to others' highlight reels. Distract from the people right in front of you. Finally, let's discuss reconnecting with the world, the real world, the three-dimensional, tangible, immediate world. Here's your action plan. Replace one digital habit with an analog one. Instead of scrolling before bed, read a physical book. Instead of checking your phone during your commute, observe people and places around you. Create phone-free activities. Go for walks without your phone. Have coffee dates where everyone puts their phone in a basket in the center of the table. Cook a meal without looking up recipes. Reconnect with forgotten hobbies. Remember what you loved before smartphones? Drawing, playing music, gardening, sports, crafts? Rediscover those activities. Practice monotasking. That's the opposite of multitasking. Do one thing at a time with full attention. Eat without screens. Talk without texting. Work without checking social media. Here's a powerful phrase. Where attention goes, energy flows. What you pay attention to grows in your life. If you constantly attend to your phone, your relationship with your phone grows strong, while your relationship with everything else withers. But if you attend to nature, relationships, creativity, presence, those aspects of life flourish. The goal isn't perfection. You'll check your phone mindlessly sometimes. You'll fall back into old patterns. That's human. The goal is awareness, noticing when you're using technology intentionally versus compulsively. That awareness itself creates change. So here's my challenge to you, and it's genuinely challenging. Try it just one day, 24 hours without your phone. But if that feels too overwhelming, start smaller. Try a phone-free morning, a phone-free dinner, a phone-free hour before bed. Small changes compound into transformation. You don't have to go cold turkey forever, but experience what presence feels like, what noticing feels like, what actual undistracted living feels like. Yes, it will be uncomfortable. You'll feel anxious, bored, maybe even a little panicky. That's okay. Sit with those feelings. They're teaching you something important about your relationship with technology. Remember, you will never lie on your deathbed wishing you'd spent more time on your phone. You will never regret the conversations you had, the sunsets you watched, the books you read, the presents you gave to people you love. But you might regret the moments you missed because you were staring at a screen, the family dinners where you were physically present but mentally absent, the beautiful days that passed while you scrolled through other people's lives. Life is happening right now, not on a screen, not in someone's Instagram story, right here, in this moment, in your actual, physical, beautiful, messy, imperfect life. The world is richer than you remember. Conversations are deeper than you realize. Food tastes better. Music sounds clearer. Connections feel stronger. But you have to put down the phone to experience it. I'm Cindy from English TalkNest, reminding you that the most important notifications aren't digital. They're the birds singing outside your window, the smile from a stranger, the taste of your morning coffee, the laughter of your family around the dinner table, and the feeling of being completely, wonderfully alive. Try the challenge. Start with one phone-free meal with your family. Share your experience in the comments, and remember, technology should serve your life, not consume it. Thanks for watching. If this video resonated with you, give it a like, ironically using your phone, and subscribe for more experiments in living intentionally. Now, here's your homework. Put your phone down right now and go reconnect with something real. A person, a hobby, nature, yourself. The world is waiting for you.